Marissa from Ella Johnson Library, and we are excited to welcome the Illinois Paranormalists tonight. And we'll have time for questions. You can also put questions in the chat if you'd like. And I'll let Paul take it away.
Okay, welcome. I'm going to do something right now, which is put on the slide with our contact information. So you can all get it now, and I'll put it up again later, in case you want to reach us for any reason. I have been ghost hunting for 18 years. I started this club 9 years ago. Aged year. 9 years ago. I started because I have always been fascinated in paranormal things. I grew up reading everything: Bigfoot, UFOs, you name it, Loch Ness Monster, Bermuda Triangle, all those things. And like a lot of ghost hunters, it wasn't until the show Ghost Hunters Taps came on that like a light bulb went off. Hey, you can do this. You can actually go out and ghost hunt. So I started doing research, and I went to a couple places, and then I joined a team and stayed with that team a while. That team kind of faded away, so we started our own team. And we've been going ever since and going strong. And let me turn it over to Deb. She can tell you. Yeah.
All right. I'm Deborah. I've been ghost hunting since 1999. I started because I had dreams as a child and they'd come true and they freaked me out really badly. As a preteen would be, it's scary enough. So I kind of blocked that out. And then after that, I had a near-death experience when I had my first child. And all of a sudden, I was like interested in ghost hunting and hospice. So as a hospice care vigil volunteer. So yeah, I've been doing this for a long time as well, and just love it. It's just so different. Go ahead, Doug.
Hey, everybody. My name is Doug. I've been ghost hunting for about a year now, but I've been interested in the paranormal since about when I was in like fourth grade. So it all started with like my mom and I, we would stay up watching this British haunt ghost show. And then after that, then Taps came out. So we've been watching Ghost Hunters. And, from there, we've watched all the shows that came through. I know Ghost Adventures was one of them, Destination Fear. And then I think Paranormal Estate, is that the one with the college kids? I can't remember if that was accurate or not.
Paranormal State.
Paranormal Estate, yeah, with Chip, I think was the medium for that. But either way, like I've been like interested a lot. I think one of the coolest experiences that I've ever been able to do is visit Robert the Doll in Key West, as well as do a couple of ghost tour lanterns in San Antonio, Key West, and then visiting Gettysburg. So, that's all that I have to say, but, I'm looking forward to sharing more experiences as we continue through this presentation.
And please, we like having these being like a conversation. So anybody who's out there watching, if you have a question, please ask it. An experience you want to share, whatever. We love talking about ghosts. That's why we do this. We've done a lot of libraries, and we also do community colleges. And just love it. Just love talking to people and hearing them and talking about ghost hunting. So it's what we do, and we like hearing questions. So now I think we've already covered this. What we plan to cover today. Now, one thing we may not get to, which is equipment, because we don't have as much time as usual, but we do cover how we find places to go, what we do while we're there, and then we try to get some time to review evidence and play some things. Now, we tested it, and it was a little difficult hearing EVPs, but we'll try it. and see what we can do to see if you can hear better.
I do recommend if anybody who has audio devices, listening through like phones or laptops, use headphones. Chances are they might be able to come in a little bit better. But that's maybe just like a suggestion to try as we record or go through the EVPs and the evidence.
Yeah, when I review EVP evidence, I wear a big over-the-ear, kind of like Doug's got on,
Yeah.
Bose noise canceling headphones, because I really need to concentrate. I don't know how, but I've got members who just listen to their little recorders in like headphones, and they walk around and do things and all that, and I could not do that. In fact, I thought I was really excited. I thought this was back when I was working. I could listen to EVPs on the train. There is no way you can listen to EVPs on the train, even with the good headphones. You cannot hear. But anyways, so lost it. How we find the places we go. Doug, you want to handle that?
Yeah, so if you want to go ahead and jump to the next slide, pretty much how we find places to go. There's so many things that we do, right? One is like, when we watch like any of the ghost TV shows, any of the locations that they have, it's something that we want to do. But one of the biggest things is we like interesting places that have like cool history, or if anything kind of looks like funky, right? One of the examples I wasn't able to go, but I know Paul will be able to, and Debbie will be able to touch base on this, would be like the Goldenrod Showboat. So we'll be able to cover that later in the in the discussion. But just seeing what's available out there. Most of the places that we do go is pay to hunt, meaning that we have to pay a lump sum of money, and then we will get the place either for an overnight or for the hours that they will give us, right? And then some other places, some other is residential, like private referrals. So usually if someone finds us online, they can email us or contact us, and then after that we go through some sort of screening, and then from there we'll go out and do the investigation in a private home. But that's mostly what we usually do. Oh, also like hosting public investigations. So JJC, we partner with them, we do a class, and then we'll go to a spot to do an investigation with. Sandwich Opera House earlier this summer, we were able to get into there, do an investigation, and pretty much split a group of like 10 people, 10 upstairs, 10 downstairs. So a lot of fun stuff like that.
Yeah, we like especially going to like Rialto, because they're bigger spaces, so, and the local
Yeah.
areas. So yeah, and we get referrals, we get phone calls from all over the United States, even though we're the Illinois Paranormalist, but they find us and we actually respond to them. So a lot of times we're networking with other teams around the country to find them some help. But yeah, we will get referrals from other states and other teams. So we network with a bunch of people. Always just to see what's going on too. So and get more ideas. So
Yeah.
definitely.
And as we say in the slide, there are far more haunted places out there than you know. People don't want to talk about it. Particularly businesses. If they're located in a haunted place, they don't want their customers to know. Even some places you wouldn't think of. The guy company I bought my night vision cameras is in Houston. And what's funny is when I first contacted them, I got, this person responded, and I kept thinking I was just dealing with a salesperson. Well, then after, I don't know how many emails, because I was asking a lot of questions, he admitted to me he was the owner.
Oh.
And he said when he saw that I was a ghost hunter and want to talk about ghosts. He wanted to participate. His warehouse was haunted, or is haunted. And coolest thing, he saw an apparition of a person from the waist up go like across his warehouse on his security film. And of course, we always go, "Do you have the film?" And they never do. And
Uh,
in this case, it was because he said, I deleted it immediately. He said, "I don't want my employees to know. I don't want my customers to know." He said, "I have no employees and no customers if they knew it was haunted." But we also always tell the story. One of the first places we went as a club was a strip mall. And it was a chiropractor's office in a strip mall. And I personally was not excited because I'm like, okay, how many haunted strip malls are there? Do you hear? And particularly a chiropractor's office. But we went, and not much seemed to be going on while we were there. But when we got back home and listened to the evidence, oh my God, we had so many EVPs. One was a little girl going, "My toys," and other voices and whatnot. And I could not figure out why a strip mall was haunted. Well, it turns out, and I should mention that the chiropractor's office would not let us come back in and tell them what we found. We only got in because one of our members was friends with someone who worked there. And there were businesses on either side of that office that were having all kinds of experiences. They wouldn't talk about it. Like one was a hair salon and said, "No, we don't want anybody to know." But when we found out why it was haunted, it was built on the site of an old farm. Particularly a farmhouse was right there. So any spirits that were there were probably coming from the farm. And that's what was really haunted. And a lot of places you go, I'm sorry, my phone's going off. A lot of places we go, and it's going off on the X-Files, which appropriate. And we go to places, a lot of places we go, there is no reason for them to be haunted. So it's not really like you go to places and someone died there. That is not all. That doesn't have to be the case. The Rialto, we are the people that do the public hunts down at the Rialto, and there's supposedly like 5 or 6 spirits, and there's stories of a little boy got hit by a car and brought inside, and he died there. A young newlywed couple jumped off the balcony, and just stuff like that. There's no record of any of those ever happening. People have poured through like all the newspaper columns or whatever from the time periods and can't find anything. But there are beliefs that sometimes spirits come back to where they're happy. And one ghost there is of an actress that performed there. And that's like the belief with her is she just came back here because this was the place she was happy. So that's also another theory. Whoops. Okay, I'm sorry, I lost the place. Here are just pictures of some places we've been that are somewhat well known. Down here on the right corner is the Rialto, which is a beautiful place. We love going there. And yes, it's haunted. There's some areas there that are really active. Up on the right corner is Scott Mansion, which is a very famous mansion in Joliet, where it's been known there have been deaths. There have been deaths there. Unfortunately, the night we went, it took me like 2 years to get us in there. It's owned by an old doctor that lives in New York that, believe it or not, he collects mansions. He owns like 5 or 6 mansions, this being one of them. His daughter lives in Chicago, saw Scott, this was for sale, and convinced him to buy it. And it wasn't very expensive, but it needed a lot of renovations, and he's still renovating it. But we all loved it. Beautiful woodwork, beautiful other hinges and whatever done, in a way you would not normally see. Waverly Hills, the lower left, is very famous. It's an old sanatorium down in Louisville. The estimates range from 10,000 to 60,000 people died there. And we've been there 3 times. The first time I was there, it was very active. And the next 2 times, not much was going on. Deb had a real interesting experience there. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure, I've been there 7 times total. When I went to Waverly Hills, we were down by where they had the morgue area, and they usually close that because they do haunted houses there. So they don't want the competition or anybody to see what their setup is going to be. Well, we were lucky. They had opened up the area of that hallway, and I was with a retired Chicago police officer, a paramedic, myself, and an electrical engineer. And we were looking down and we heard footsteps and we saw 4 shadow people, and we could see them in the hallway, like they were crossing the hallway. And then one of them come running at us, but he dropped to all 4s and like morphed almost like a dog, and came running at us. So the 4 of us are standing there, and your natural reaction is we're going to get plowed over, because something's running at you. So we all went like this to let it go by. But as we turned, it disappeared before it ever came to us. So it was crazy there. It was really, really neat. Yeah.
That particular shadow person is known as the creeper.
Yes.
They see it around. Nobody knows what shadow people are, by the way.
Right.
They're not really ghosts, but nobody knows what they really are. And yeah, just a very interesting place to go. One thing that happened there that I always just found fascinated. First time I went there, we were just kind of sitting in a hallway that was near where our base camp was. And you could see lights coming in through the windows, and there were all kinds of like shadow figures moving back and forth in the lights. Nothing that could cause it. Well, a couple people walked down that hallway and they said, like, all of a sudden, all their hair stood up. It was just full of energy. My son was with us, and Waverly's full of balls because there's kid ghosts, children's spirits. So people bring balls. And my son picked up a ball and rolled it down the hallway, which is a straight hallway. The ball went down the hallway to the end, circled twice, not just once, twice, and came halfway back. And as far as I know, that's against physics. Nothing can circle twice. So that was really cool. So
yes, and it's different every time we've been there. Out of the 7 times I've been there, it's always something different, a different floor. Sometimes it's a 4th floor, sometimes it's a 3rd floor, sometimes it's the death chute. So it just depends. And a lot of time, you'll get home and you'll listen to your audio, and that's when you hear all these voices. You're like, wow, they were having a conversation with us. So yeah, Waverly Hills was for tuberculosis, and then it was also nursing home after that. But excellent place. I highly recommend it.
And they used to, in the past, the way they thought you could cure tuberculosis, they wheeled the beds out to like outdoor balconies, and the people got fresh air pretty much year round. The other thing that's kind of cool about Waverly, I mean, if you look at this, you think, oh, a big building out in the middle of nowhere. It's not. It's near downtown Louisville.
Really?
It is up on a hill. It is surrounded by like some woods or trees, but there's a golf course next to it.
Ugh,
So it's not just, like a big building out in the middle of nowhere, which a lot of the places we go are. So,
yeah. Nope. Can be your next door neighbor.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
Other place that's on here, and Doug mentioned, is the Goldenrod Showboat. Kind of stumbled upon this location. It is an old showboat, which they're not really boats, they're more barges, but they're huge auditoriums. So if you took like one of our theaters and put it on so it could float, they would then push it around between towns. And they would show movies and have performances and whatnot. And the Goldenrod was falling apart. and there was a team of young people, volunteers, trying to renovate it. Didn't really have any money. The boat was parked on a mooring area, and it ran up, I think, $70,000 in mooring fees. Well, they couldn't afford to pay it. They tried everything to stop it from being like evicted or whatever. Well, one night it got burned to the ground. And it was obviously arson. The volunteers say everybody knows who did it. Police will not investigate. It's just gone. And it's a shame because it was such an interesting piece of history. But
I wonder why they wouldn't investigate that.
because it's well, like I said, everybody knew who did it, so they really didn't want to know.
Oh, okay.
Now it kind of karma. A few years later, the place that supposedly torched it had their own fire. So there's always a wonder, what was that? So here, Doug, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I can do that. So this is just a funny image that we like to, throw in the slides where you have just a collage of images of what you think I do, what people think I do, what I think. So the first one is just what my friends think I do. It's just, ghost hunters. I think this is back in the day. What my mom thinks I do, which is calling the dead through seances. What society thinks I do, which is doing Ghostbusters, who you're gonna call. What my clients think I do, which is performing exorcisms or rites. What I think I do, being a lab rat with a coat, doing scientific analysis. But in realistically, what we like to do is just sleep in chairs. And as we talk about the what we do when we get there, which I think is the next slide's coming up. This is one of the most accurate depictions of what we like to do.
Yeah, it gets cold. A lot of these places don't have power. Some don't have washrooms. You're in the middle of the night. It's cold. Some places have no windows. Some places have critters running around and flying around when you're trying to investigate. So yeah, you are bundled up, and sometimes you're so cold, and other times it's 120 degrees and you're dying of heat. So yeah, it's we are always happy to find someone that has electric, bathrooms, and power. Just power in general is a good thing.
Sure.
And actually, one thing that's kind of wrong here is you were usually sitting on the floor.
Yes.
Which are concrete, so it's doubly cold. And you get stiff and you can't get up again. At least I can. But this is very, very true. What everybody thinks.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Deb, you want to kind of cover this?
Sure. Yeah. This is different for each location that we go to. Some of the team members like to go on the tour of the location and some do not. We have some members and myself, I normally do not like to go on the tours. I don't want to know exactly, I want to know the history, but I don't want to know any claims. I want to go in and see what I pick up myself. I always listen to the part of the tour, the history, and get names of people that lived in the house or died in the house, but I don't like to hear the claims of what people have seen. So that way I can keep an open mind and not have that sitting back there. But a lot of the times we'll go to Tinker Swiss Cottage Museum up in Rockford is beautiful. We've been there. We give presentations. We've done ghost hunts through there. Beautiful location. So when you're somewhere like that it's always been owned by family, you want to know the names of the family so you can call out and try to get responses. So what we'll do normally is we will set up equipment. It depends how long we have the building. Some buildings you may only be in there 6 hours. So for 6 hours, we use things like the camera on our phone. We have other handheld equipment. If we have a building for 12 hours to 24 hours, we'll put up big cameras and video record it that way. So we will set up the equipment depending on if there's power. So you have to be flexible. You never know sometimes till you really get there. And then and also with the weather too, you don't want to be running wires outside and stuff like that if there's a big thunderstorm. So you kind of get the feel for it once you start doing it. And then we will investigate. We will break up into groups depending how many of us are there and how big the location is. If it's a big hospital like Waverly Hills, there's 5 levels and the death tunnel. So you could have 30 people in separate parts of the building. You'd never hear each other. But if you're in a house like Villisca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa, it's so tiny that you only want to have maybe 5 people in the house at one time, and you need to be all together because it's such a tiny location and sound travels. So we have to, determine that too on the locations. And we'll do about, it depends. If it's very active, we can stay in an area anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, just depending. If we're getting a lot of activity, we don't want to leave that room. So we will stay in that area. And then we always take breaks and we always have snacks. There's always food. On ghost hunts, you eat. I don't know what it is, but you eat. We take a break, we go and eat.
Good.
All teams do that.
Yes.
It's just a constant.
Yep.
'Cause
So
it probably drains a lot
it
out of
does.
you.
Right. Plus you're doing it in the middle of the night. Some people, have kids, so they were getting the kids ready for dinner and then,
Yeah.
they didn't eat and then you're traveling. So it just depends where we're at. But yeah, it's always, there's always food involved.
You
And
always have a buddy, or do you ever go solo?
it depends on the location. We've been to prisons before, my favorite. We went to Ohio State Reformatory where they did, what was the name of that movie?
Shawshank
Shawshank
Redemption.
So we were in solitary confinement and I sat in one place and Paul was down in another cell. And those are great because it's so long that you can have 2 or 3 people on a cell block and not hear each other. It's that big. So it just depends on the location. A lot of times, if it's a really crickety old building, and we always tell everyone, do not go in a building if you have not been invited in there. Don't go into some abandoned place ever. When we investigate, we are either paying to go there or we have been invited to go there. Never do it. It's not worth it. We tell them all the time, just don't do it.
Yeah,
Because
do not
you get hurt.
trespass. Yeah, do not trespass.
That's right.
I was amazed when I was trying to get us in the Scott Mansion. I found a web page that I thought was for Scott Mansion. It was for people who break into Scott Mansion.
Ugh.
And they were posting under their full names. So I printed it all off and sent it to the owner. He couldn't believe it. He's like, these idiots. I said, yeah, I know. And they're sitting there blatantly saying, yeah, I break in through the back door, and it's like, yeah, okay. So
Yes.
he's going to turn it over to the police.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Deb.
Yeah. And we have been on locations before where, we pay to hunt and the police will go by because they know we're there and it's famous places that will rent out every night of the week. So the police just go by to make sure that nothing's going on, that we're not having any problems with like teenagers on a weekend coming up and knocking on windows and stuff like that. So yeah, we always tell everyone, make sure you have permission. These are always places that we go that we have either paid to go or been invited in. So yeah, and then we'll investigate and we will sit, and it depends on, if we're getting a lot of audio, we will continually call out things. Like if you're sitting there and you sneeze, we will say sneeze, or You know, if I'm moving my feet and you can hear gravel, I'll say I'm moving my feet. And the reason we do that is because when we go back to listen to our equipment, it's going to sound, if you don't remember doing it, you're going to hear that noise. You're going to be like, wow, I just saw something or I just heard something. So we always tell people, call it out and don't whisper, because most EVPs, when you listen to them, sound like a whisper. And that's why we said, like Paul said, you need headphones. You got to listen with headphones. So it's always depending on, you know, how long we'll stay in a certain area, but we always meet up. We try and, like, if we're having something and the next team is going to that room, we don't want to tell them what we experienced. We just say, hey, we experienced something. And then we like to compare afterwards. And then we will investigate and tear down equipment. So if I put down 5 voice recorders and we're there for 10 hours, I've got to listen to 50 hours of EVPs. If we have cameras going 24 hours, someone has to watch each camera for 24 hours. And so it's a lot of work. You know, a lot of people like to go in and investigate, but they don't like to listen for the evidence. So to us, that's the best part. You know, we love to investigate, but we love it even more when we find something. So
Yeah,
Yeah, you get really excited when you get an EVP or even your first EVP. You're just thrilled. Oh,
I'm sure that's got to be, especially after all the time you've put in,
right.
and yeah, to get that gratification from catching something, that's really neat.
Exactly.
one thing I was going to mention about tearing down the equipment, putting up like the big cameras and stuff probably takes hour and a half, which is a lot of time. We can do a teardown though in like 30 minutes. It means
Yes.
we can get out. It's like,
Yeah.
we're done. Time to go home.
That's right.
We usually show all the equipment, but I don't know how we do that on Zoom. It'd be difficult. But we can talk about some of it. Particularly, you don't have to spend a lot of money.
No.
Deb and I have spent a lot of money, have a ton of stuff, so we're kind of hypocrites here. But we've been doing this a long time.
Right.
But you know, a recorder, camera, and actually your phone will do that. We had a member that got great stuff with her phone, recording it, and went out and bought a recorder and didn't like it, went back to using her iPhone. So yeah, you can take pictures, you can record, you can do all kinds of stuff with a phone. The only thing we don't recommend is there's all kinds of ghost programs out there, ghost apps.
Yeah.
And you got to think to yourself, what is a phone made to do? Well, it's made to be a phone. They're now made to be cameras.
Yeah.
But are they really meant to be a ghost radar? Do they have something built into them? So you have to kind of keep that in mind. And I know I get people mad at me because they want to be able to believe all these apps are terrific. And I'm like, well, you know, we use all kinds of cameras. We have big night vision, high definition cameras. Got a dozen of them, got 3 DVRs. That's what we use if we're going someplace big and we're staying.
And that's what's on that picture on this slide. Those are it's on a big TV screens, and those are our
Yes.
camera views. Those are the big ones.
Oh my gosh.
Still cameras, including full spectrum, which uses the whole range of light, and the pictures come out pink. But I had one, took pictures for years, never got anything, so I'm back on the back burner. Thermal imaging, though, which shows the thermal signatures. I've got one that will take still pictures, it will not take video pictures. The ones on TV, you always see them showing video. Those are expensive. I mean, we're talking like $10,000 or whatever. Yeah. Lots of money. The one I have is not worth anywhere near that. So I'm perfectly happy with still pictures.
Yeah.
Now, when you're looking at it, you can see stuff moving, but as far as what you get if you click the button. And they're pretty neat. We've had a few things with those. I had one place I was by myself down in the basement and I was getting like handprints on stuff. Now, what I couldn't prove was that nobody was down there before me touching everything. But it was kind of odd. It was at Mansfield, by the way, Deb, your favorite prison. Connect, which is the SLS camera. You know the Xbox games, and you got the Connect camera that looks at you. Well,
Yes.
people found out that that was recording stuff going on behind them and all that, like figures. It's just green lines, stick figures, but it's figures. We've had a lot of luck with that. I mean, it's kind of interesting. You kind of sweep the room and you'll see something sitting over in a chair.
Oh my gosh.
And the first time I ever had it, I just turned it on. So I didn't know how to do anything. But I turned it on my house and I saw a figure of a person and a figure of a dog. And we've had people, my parents who are deceased we kind of felt like they've been here. And the dog, we've had 3 different dogs pass away in this house.
Wow.
And the minute I kind of acknowledged, wow, look at it, they were gone. It was just,
Ugh.
but it was really weird. And I didn't know the equipment well enough to like record it as I would have.
Right. And with the Connect, you can be, when they first came out and first did the software for it, it would map in like a vacuum and make it look like a person with the stick figure. But now the software has been so refined that you could do that and it won't map it out. So when you see a true stick figure that's not there, you're catching something. So
Oh.
yeah, because you can do it on a blank wall and you'd see it and you're like, wow, there's someone standing right there. And sometimes we like to back it up too. Did the hair on my arms go up? Did I hear something? Did I smell something? We tell people the most important equipment is your feeling. Is your hair going up? Do you feel like someone's here? Do you get cold? Because your body will pick up like a sixth sense. You just use your senses. We always tell people use that. And then it's great because when you do get an EVP or a picture, then you can kind of correlate it all together. But we do mostly scientific.
That means we want to get something we can show to somebody else. So even when we have people on our club that are sensitive or even consider themselves psychics, that's fine. But I can't show that to anybody.
Right.
If they say, oh, there's a little old lady sitting in that chair, great, but I can't show that to anybody.
Yeah.
So what we hope is we can use that to identify an area to investigate and hopefully capture an EVP or capture something that we can use and show.
Mhm.
So
Makes sense.
Yes, for sure. And then like we will use ghost box and spirit portals too. Those are radios that will skip. You'll hear it going. So it's skipping channels. And we can use that because when it's skipping the different channels, you may get a piece of a word. But if you get a whole sentence, you know that it didn't stop on one channel because it's like not even a second. So it's going. And so if you hear like part of the Cubs and you hear Cubs, but then it's it's a radio station. But when you get a sentence that makes sense, it's like, whoa.
I didn't realize that's what they were doing, was constantly changing channels.
Yes, yes. And you can run them backwards too. I mean, they've come up with a lot of stuff. It used to be the Radio Shack transistor radio. They would cut a few wires and that's how it all started. And there was a Frank's box, which became very famous. So those are always interesting. I like to use those. We have EMF direct detectors and K2s. Those you will see on all the ghost hunting shows. You can get them anywhere nowadays. In the old days, you had to get them from a ghost shop or online, and they were really expensive. Now you can get an EMF detector for probably about $30 on eBay, on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon sells all the ghost hunting stuff now.
Yes. So you
Convenient.
can find them anywhere. Yeah. And then we also use equipment that is not for ghost hunting. I use a laser level that you use for tile or to make sure a picture is level. So what we like to do is put it down a long hallway. So if it's like this and something breaks that red line, we know that something's walking by it
Wow.
because you use those levels, to make sure everything's level. So we like to use that in jails and prisons, hotel, or anywhere that has a long hallway, especially. And then temperature, it's hard in some of these buildings if they have windows that are out. Temperature can fluctuate. But if you're in a building that has no power, you've been in this room, and all of a sudden it drops like 20 degrees, something's around you. So we have different temperature detectors, a temperature gun. You can also use on the EMF. A lot of them also will do 2 or 3 things. So they'll do EMF and temperature. Some great equipment out there, and they're always improving in it. But yeah, we always recommend still use the lower price stuff when you're first starting out. You need a camera, you can use your phone. Just make sure when you're on location, you use put it in airplane mode, because if you don't, it can trigger your EMF because your phone is trying to process emails coming in and any data. So you want to make sure it's in airplane mode.
That's interesting.
Then we'll bring trigger objects. My dad was in the Navy, and so I had his Navy hat, and I was going to take it with me to the USS Edson in Michigan, because that is familiar to the spirits there. It's from their time frame, and they would recognize it. So we like to bring items that will be a trigger. So they would be familiar with it, and I can say, oh, can you tell me what this is? And they know exactly what it is. We've taken cigarettes and booze. Where was that at?
Look, prisons.
Yes. And they tell
Mansfield
you,
for one, but
yep, they'll tell you, bring in a little bottle, sealed, of course,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a cigarette, and offer it to the prisoners. And that's something that you're hoping it will trigger them to come and talk to you, because you got cigarettes and booze.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a trigger object, can be anything. It can be a person too. If there's a family member there with us when we investigate, that can be a trigger too.
I've got jail keys from Halloween, but they're just metal jail keys, so they're a trigger object when you go to prisons.
Yeah.
I got a Boo Bear, which is a teddy bear with a EMF detector inside, and it speaks and has temperature variations, but it's used for places there might be kids.
Wow.
And we also have, like I said, we're about the balls. We bring toys with if we know we're going to a place that might have a children's spirit there. But you don't always know, by the way. Spirits will mess with you. So
Okay.
not all children's spirits are children's spirits. It
Mm.
could be something else just kind of messing around with you. Best example of that is when we were at the Goldenrod, one of my members made a comment, I wish I hadn't watched Mama last night. Well, Mama's a horror movie, if you haven't watched it.
Mhm.
And on the EVPs, on the recordings, we got a voice going, Mama, Mama. That sounds just like a child, but it's not, because there's never been any child, spirits associated with the Goldenrod. In fact, most of the spirits, like one's the former captain and another woman who worked there, but not children.
Hmm.
Right.
Things will mess with you.
Right. And I was at Villisca Axe Murder House where 4 children, the parents, and the 2 nieces that spent the night were all unfortunately axe murdered. Happened in 1912 in Villisca, Iowa, still unsolved to this day. When I went there, we brought Jenga because we figured if we can sit down at their level, and all of us were parents that were there, so we would say, I'm a mom, and we'd talk, and sit down at their level and play games. So, and the reason why we'd bring Jenga is because it's easy, if maybe they could knock it out and then it would fall and you'd know. So anything like that, cat balls, the ones that light up that cats love to play with. We bring those, anything, adult spirits like those too. But we will try, and we always make sure to, if we know it's children past there, then we will. And in one of the EVPs, if we get to that, we did get 2 of the children's names in there. So,
Wow.
yes.
We should probably check. Are there any questions? We can talk forever, so we just get going.
I know, and I could sit here with you forever too. Have you ever been in a dangerous situation?
Well, once I was at an investigation. This was before I was with Paul's group. And we always try to talk with our clients before we go into a home, and we'll talk to them many times. Well, we went to a home, and their teenage son must have been under the influence of something. He was running around the backyard with a bow and arrow. And we were like, ooh, we need to go, because we're going into a stranger's home. You have to. And we always tell people, if you're going to investigate a home, you talk first to them many, many times. Keep a notebook. Let someone know where you're going. But, as a group, and always do as much research as you can. But yeah, and act professional, of course, because you're going in to help a family. And we do this for free, $0.
Wow.
We investigate homes, and the reason it's $0 is because who in their right mind would do that, right? You don't say you're in trouble, oh, it's going to be money. No, we do it because we want to help these families. And
If you
so,
call a club and they want to charge you, it's a red flag.
yes.
It's considered very poor in our paranormal community to charge people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I
That's
even know
really
one of the more famous ghost hunters in the country calls clubs up to charge and berates them.
Yes, because
You shouldn't be doing this. Why are you doing this? So.
Right, we're there helping a family. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if they want to give us pop and pizza, great, but you don't ask for it. And we've even had people try to give us money, and we're like, no, they're like, for your gas. We're like, no, don't worry about it. They're scared, right? A lot of people don't understand that sometimes a spirit, they may come off to someone that's afraid that they're evil or they're mean. It doesn't mean that. The spirit can be so trying to get your attention, and they tried touching you and it didn't work, and then they tried poking you and maybe it doesn't work, and then you'll get like this on the arm and maybe that works. So they're scared because they're like, oh, they hit me. And it's like, well, maybe that's the only way they can reach out to you and let you know. So sometimes you have to think that a spirit is a person that lived, maybe they were cranky in life, right? And they're probably cranky after they've passed too. So it's not everything's bad. A lot of people watch the TV shows and it makes it seem like they're evil. No, we've come across that really not very many times, that we can say anything besides it's a spirit trying to get your attention, and they may be frustrated. So yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not just us. I was at a public type place, and a lot of the top TV ghost hunters were there. And I actually was there because I wanted to meet Grant Wilson. I'd already met Jason and all those people from TAPS. But John Zappis was there, who's actually the nephew of Ed and Lorraine Warren that the movies Conjurings are based off of. And I never knew he was the nephew. And he started to go in with them when he was 15. And people asked him questions about, oh, have you ever run across negative entities? And he said, I've been on 10,000 investigations. He said, once, just once. He said, I think it might have been a true, demonic or whatever entity. But he said, it doesn't happen the way people say. It doesn't happen the way some of TV shows portray it, where they're constantly getting possessed. It's like, nah, it doesn't happen.
No.
Yeah. They're just regular people that are now in spirit form.
Right. And that's,
But
a lot of
right.
people are scared. And we always tell them, just think of it as a person without a body. They're a person. Think of it that way. And then it's not so scary anymore.
Yeah.
So.
And one thing about our club is we don't provoke.
Never.
Provoking means you yell, you swear at ghosts, whatever. And I always tell a funny story where this club Deb and I used to belong to, the leader of the club did that. And he was somewhere and he was yelling, you chicken, blah, 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 and all that. And out of a clear blue sky or whatever, a voice went, a-hole. And everybody there heard it. I mean, with their ears. It wasn't even electronic. So
he deserved it too.
He deserved it too.
Yep.
And but it wasn't a negative spirit. It was just someone who was ticked off at him for being a jerk.
Nobody likes that. Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
And that's who, like, the main people who do this, the ghost hunter, the TV people, will tell you, you talk to the spirits as if they're sitting right in front of you as a person. Do not yell. The other thing I was at, the one thing with Grant Wilson, he said, and do not make promises you can't keep. Like, don't promise them something if there's absolutely no way you can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
He said, if I hear you do that, I will throw you out.
Wow.
So,
yeah, they've got the time. They'll stick around to see if you follow through.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully they don't follow you home. But no, that really happens too. Deb, why don't you talk about the paranormal clergy?
Sure.
A little bit.
Sure. So we network all over the United States. I am part of the paranormal clergy, which was formed by Bishop James Long. And he formed it because there were so many cases out there that either a regular church wouldn't take, or different things. They couldn't find help. So he formed it, and then he got it all set up, and he gave it to the laity. He gave it to a gentleman named Rich, and he's a licensed demonologist. Well, not licensed, but he's been trained in 3 different churches as a demonologist. And so he runs the group, and we get cases, we'll get calls from Texas, and they're like, can you help us? And we're like, we're in Illinois, let me find you a team. And we will work in our network, try to find a team. But if there was someone in Illinois, say, and we go and investigate, we find that there's something that we can't handle, then we will be able to call, say, a Wiccan priestess, if they're Wiccan. If they are Jewish, we can find them a rabbi. If they're Catholic, we can find them a deacon or a priest. If you're different tribes, we can try to find you an elder to help you. So we will work with different nationalities, different religions, non-religions, and try to find them help. So we network all throughout the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it can be really hard for people to get help.
Yes. Yeah, because it's scary, and you don't want to feel like you're nuts.
Right,
The first time I ever saw a shadow person, I, in my head, said, there is no way I just saw what I saw. And I kept saying, well, maybe I blinked my eye and I saw my eyelash, or maybe I saw, a stray hair out of the corner of my eye. But when you get a picture of it or someone else sees it, then you're like, oh my gosh, I really saw that.
Right.
Because
Right.
we've always been told that there's nothing there. There's nothing under the bed. There's nothing in the closet. If your kids or grandkids come up to you and say that there's something in the house, listen to them, and at least acknowledge it, instead of how it's always been taboo, but lately it's been more people talk about it. So we're there. Sometimes we feel like therapists a
Yeah.
little bit. So, and if they
What about
need a
pets?
therapist, we can hook them up with a therapist as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important, I'm sure.
Yes.
What'd you say, Marissa?
If you ever see your pet acting weird or staring off in a corner upset or something,
Yes.
you should trust that animal instinct as well. Do you feel?
I do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I did hospice as a volunteer, and I had two little I'm not sure if they were Shih Tzus or what they were. They were really little, and the woman was passing in her bed. This was the day before, and the dog sat in the corner and barked at the corner. And it was the weirdest thing because there was nothing. It wasn't like there was another dog barking outside. And so, yeah, animals are fantastic.
Yeah.
They can let you know. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, we investigated one location where the woman's dog kept barking at the corner of her bathroom when she was in the shower. And we tried everything to debunk it, which is what you always try first to figure out, oh, is there some logical reason this is happening? We couldn't. But the dog would bark and bark at the corner of the bathroom.
Yeah, it always seems to be corners. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, it's corners.
Yep.
That's interesting too. There's a famous around here, famous house in Bull Valley, Illinois, and it has no square corners to it. They're all rounded, and
Right.
that's supposedly one of the haunted houses of Bull Valley. It's the police station now, but
Interesting.
yeah,
That's for sure.
so they must like corners.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange when you see a shadow person or you see an apparition, and it doesn't happen a lot. Most of the time you don't catch it on camera. It seems to like happen like if this is my camera and it's pointing this direction, it seems like it's back here. It's almost like they're playing a game with you and they're like, ha ha, you can't get me.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get those a lot.
Yeah.
I like you, I'll try to make an excuse for it, but I don't know.
Yes, for sure. So Paul, did you want to try to play the EVPs?
First, how much time do we have? Don't we only have till like 7:30, Marissa?
We can go until 8.
Oh, I
It's
was
up to you
told an
guys.
hour, so okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Whenever you're ready, that's fine.
Okay, let
Like I
me.
said, I could sit with you all night.
Just a second.
Well,
Whoops.
yeah.
It's like, no, I don't want that. I don't want
I don't think it'll cut us off or anything, but
Yeah. It should be, oh yeah, I just saw it a little while ago.
Yeah, I know. I had it up here. That's what I'm trying to find it. Just a sec.
Yeah, we just did a podcast on location coming soon. So,
ooh,
This has come here.
check
oh,
that
you're
out.
not supposed to say what it says.
Well,
Where was this?
I wanted to explain. This was at Fox Hollow Farms. It's in Indiana. It is the home of a serial killer. He killed between like 14 and 18 people at the farm. He lived there with his wife and kids.
Ah,
His name was Herb Baumeister. He used to go into Indianapolis and pick up young gay men from the bars, and he had a pool, so we'd convince them to come back to his house because of the pool, and then he'd strangle them, and he would record it. We also found out when they closed in on him, he also was called the I-70 killer. Before he bought Fox Hollow Farms, he was doing the same thing with young men, but leaving the bodies along I-70 because that's where he drove to and from work.
Mm.
He supposedly killed 50 people along I-70.
Oh my God.
And like I said, he recorded them in his house. And when he fled, when he knew the police were after him, he went to Canada and he took the tapes with him. Well, they saw him, a park officer or whatever, saw him. He was sleeping in a park and went and told him, you can't stay here, you have to get up. And saw the back seat was full of videotapes. Well, when he came back to the States, the tapes were all gone. And I said, well, if you think about it, it'd be so easy to throw those away, throw stuff away. Just go anywhere and there's dumpsters and this and that.
Yeah.
But except they caught him and he committed suicide, I believe. But he other weird thing is he didn't bury the bodies or anything. He just dragged them out into the woods.
Oh,
And he just told his wife and kids, don't go in the woods, you're allergic, you'll have a reaction. So these bodies were laying out there, torn apart, whatever, by animals. They are still finding bones.
wow.
And we were there, the owner of the house at that point, he'd go for a walk with his wife out into the woods and they'd pick up bones and put them in a bag and every now and then take them to the police. So really kind of an odd experience. This is a recording and we've tested this. I don't know if people out there will be able to hear it, but let's try.
Maybe it's just on the right side.
It was right there.
Yeah, you'll hear us talking and then
On the right side.
Right there.
There it was right there. Come here.
Ooh, come here.
On the right side.
and a lot of the times when we're doing this, we'll be talking to each other and we'll hear it underneath our conversation. You can hear someone else chiming in talking. And so you're not expecting it. You're not even asking a question. Sometimes we'll be walking down the hallway and we'll be talking about something and they'll be like, yeah, or something. And you're like, what? Who was that? So always interesting for sure.
There's no secrets, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had this up and I don't know what happened to it, but I will find it.
But yeah, we've been doing a lot of podcasts, putting them out there. We're on Apple and Spotify. Ghost Talk or Ghost Talk with the Illinois Paranormalists. So we've been doing that. We've done recordings on black-eyed children, which is a whole other thing. We've done them on UFOs. We have done them on the Goldenrod. We have done it on Fox Hollow Farms. And I'm trying to think what the other one was. Oh, Sandwich Opera House.
Yeah.
And we just went on location. I can tell you, we went on location to Showman's Rest at Woodlawn Cemetery in Forest
Yeah.
Park.
Yes.
Yes, where they had the burial for all the train accidents. So we just did on location filming and our podcast will be coming up. So you guys will be able to just Google that, in about a week or two. Ghost Talk with the Illinois Paranormalists. So
Excellent.
yeah.
And we'll probably show the video and then have like a live discussion afterwards. So
That had to have been pretty active over there. Isn't there there's more dead people in Forest Park than there are alive?
could be.
Yeah.
We were surprised. There were like 56 unidentified bodies. It was a circus train accident.
In 1918.
And
Oh,
only one of them was female.
Yeah, one
That was really
unidentified
odd.
female. Yeah,
huh.
yeah.
And we also had found out there's a number of these showman's rests around the country. This one was famous, but there's two in Florida, one in Oklahoma, and I don't think we know where the other ones are at the moment. but-
Right, right. And they're for circus performers or performers, families and stuff. So it
Oh.
was really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the Mama from the goldenrod. We'll see if you can hear
You'll hear our investigator talking.
Okay.
it. I don't know why it's not starting. There we go.
Warmer, it's warm up there. Today. It'd be like at least 1 degree warmer up there.
Oh, yeah.
What time is it? Oh, yeah.
There was one mama early on that's loud, then there's a couple soft ones.
I heard that the loud one.
Yeah.
And so now that is the one you
It's warm up there. Today. It'd be like at least 1 degree warmer up there.
Mm.
What time is it? Oh, yeah.
This is the one with the person I've been talking about the movie Mama.
Yeah, that you you didn't think was a child.
No.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of like a child, but it's
Yeah.
not. I think this one's too quiet to hear.
Yeah, it's right before the center. What is this one about?
It says watch it.
No, I mean where?
Goldenrod.
Yeah, so there's nobody in that room.
Yeah.
And it's like a watch it really quick. So a lot of the times, like we said, you need to hear it with headphones. So
I'll play this, and this just kind of shows EVPs aren't always voices. This is at the Goldenrod, and I had a recorder, as we said, her and I sat down recorders all over. I had a recorder up at the ticket booth. And my God, it kind of sounds like someone's taking apart the boat with a hammer or something.
My
And
God.
it wasn't going, we were there. Nothing was happening. So this is really interesting. Can you hear it?
Not really.
Yeah.
is it muted?
No,
Normally you can hear it really loud. So
I know.
yeah,
Huh.
That full volume.
there's the noise starting.
Well, it's been going for a while because I can hear it, but not very loud.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't hear that one. But why you'll see how long that is. And we'd like to show everyone what was said or what we were doing before, because if we just play a snippet that's a noise, you're not going to know what was going on around there. So like sometimes you'll hear us walking like down a hallway, put our equipment down, we'll ask a question, and we like to give it context. So, why we're asking a question but that one, it sounded like someone was hammering and taking the place apart.
This is from the Rialto, and this is during one of the public hunts. A man was sitting in the auditorium asking questions. He had a recorder going and captures. I'll let you see if you can hear it. Interestingly, he was like a teacher. He sent me this, but he told me I couldn't use his name.
Oh,
Well, that makes sense.
yeah.
You'll hear him
Sitting
talking.
in the seats.
We are in row E and F, seat 1, 2, and 3. And our electromagnet is going crazy. Can you tell us your name?
Yeah, there's no.
Do you like this seat? Are you a season ticket holder? What is your favorite show?
What you get is there's a little a child's voice going he.
Mhm.
I don't think you can hear that on this. But then at the end, there's the music of a calliope, but it's like a child going da 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 da. And there were no children there that night.
No.
Sitting in the
It
seat.
sounded like chatter.
You're in row E.
They are,
and
they're
F,
talking.
seat 1,
Yeah.
2, and 3. And our electromagnet is going crazy. Can you tell us your name?
Yeah, there's no. Outlets underneath that.
Do you like this seat? Are you a season ticket holder?
There was the he.
What is your favorite show?
Yeah, right there would have been the calliope music, but yeah, you can't hear it on here, unfortunately. Like when we do the libraries and everything, we have it over the loudspeakers and you can hear it plain as day. So yeah. So yeah, but and it's funny because you can hear him talking and asking questions because it's break time and there's someone behind them and they're talking too. And like I said, a lot of the times you'll hear other people talking. It's the whispers in between the words or under a word. Like if I'm talking right now and there's someone underneath me humming, well, I'm not humming, I'm talking. But when you're the only person there and there's more, someone's humming or they're singing, you're like, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
So yeah, but we got calliope music and no one heard it. Otherwise, other people would have said, where's that music coming from? So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else that's loud. Meaning, I don't think you could hear anything. Because kind of like, EVPs by definition, they're very quiet.
Okay.
And sometimes, or most of the time, you can't understand what they're saying.
Right.
You have to enhance it.
We
No, we don't usually do that because that brings you the possibility of people thinking you altered it.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll make multiple copies. Like I'll listen on my recorder and say it's a minute. I'll send him a minute and I say, okay, I'm going to cut it, but I want you to know what's going on that minute before. And then like for presentations, we may cut it down to like 30 seconds, but we always play the 1 minute so people can see where we grabbed it from.
Okay.
And this is video, so you can see it. We are not big on orbs. Orbs are 99% of the time dust or bugs.
Mm-hmm.
And for us who do this, it's really easy to identify.
Yeah.
Even though I have people arguing with me. One guy sent me a video and said, look it's coming out from under my bed. I'm like, well, yeah, it's dust. He's like, from under my bed? I'm like, well, yeah. It was obviously dust,
Yeah.
But this, we don't quite understand it. So I'll play it for you. There's the orb, and it's kind of moving up the stairs. It moves strangely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally a bug, you're going to see it, especially that close. You're going to see a wing or you're going to see a streak
Right.
of their movement. This thing's just like,
That is amazing.
yes. And it goes on for a while.
We did catch an EVP on these stairs too, where a voice goes, there's nobody here.
And a lot of the times the EVPs will sound sing-songy like that, like they're nobody's here. It's like, ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
So this thing goes around the door frame and then it comes back.
Yeah, I describe that voice as the Three Stooges pretending they're women.
Yeah,
Okay.
From my memory as a kid, that sounds just like they do.
right.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so in this video, our investigator goes and is trying to look because we're watching this on the camera, and it's like, I'm gonna go check it out. So she goes to check out what's going on the stairwell, and she didn't see it, but our
Wow.
camera caught it. So always interesting. It's just
Yeah.
still kind of going.
Here it is again.
Camera shy.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of the times we do tell people that, you know, it's dust or it's a bug, especially people like to take pictures at night in
Mhm.
like cemeteries or outside. Well, especially the cemetery, if you're taking a picture, your flash is reflecting off the granite. And if it's dewy outside, that light is going to light up everything behind you from the flash. And it's going to look like there are orbs everywhere. And a
Mhm.
lot of the time it's just the water moisture in the air.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, we've seen like this here, and then I've taken pictures, 4 pictures in a row where I watched this form and then disappear. But only twice I think we've ever really said, okay, that's something. Otherwise it's dust or it's a bug.
Mhm.
But yeah, this keeps going and going.
I feel like a lot of people think they're catching things on their Ring doorbells.
Right.
And stuff like that. And most time I'm
Yeah, we get a lot of those. People send it to me, and almost always you can see it's a bug
Yeah.
landed on their Ring doorbell.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. There she's looking for it.
Yeah, here's where the investigator's looking for it.
Okay.
It's like, where is it?
Wow.
Yep.
Oh.
Flying right by her. She would have seen it. She would have said, hey, it's a bug.
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I got another one that was at Farrar Elementary out in Iowa, and they have an auditorium, and you see a light, what I call porpoising, across the stage and then zooming away. It's not even round, it's like square. We tried to debunk that. None of us were on that floor at the time.
Hmm.
We cameras set up, obviously. We looked all over. Do not know what caused it.
Right. It's
I
not like it was
finally-
car lights either.
Yeah, I posted it online and I said, don't know what this is. I don't think it's paranormal, but I cannot explain it. Well, what was really bizarre is about 3 months later, another club did the same thing, posted the same type of footage, saying we were at Farrar and we saw this, so we have no idea what it is.
Right. Yeah, because we
Well-
try to debunk things. We'll say, you know, if there's a car going by and it comes through the window, is it reflecting off a mirror and something else? So we have to always debunk things because we want the truth. And you know, you're trying to deduct what it is or not. So, but yeah, when you're out in the middle of a cornfield, there's no cars coming by and you're getting these strange
Yeah.
lights inside with no power or anything. You're like, okay.
And the windows were way up in the air, so there's no way it could have been something shining down.
Right.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was, and like so we checked all the cameras, we checked to where we were. Nobody was on that floor.
We were
So,
eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably.
Unfazed.
Yeah, a lot of the times we will run a recorder while we're down eating, and we will be having conversations like this. And
Yeah.
there's someone talking right next to you, and you're
Oh
like,
my goodness.
where did this come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like a certain time of the day that you feel you get more activity, the witching hour or anything? No.
No.
not really.
More stuff happens during the day, but
Oh.
you're not paying attention to it, right? Because
Huh.
you're on the computer, your phone is ringing, you're talking, you're making dinner, the kids are running around. But
Sure.
this stuff happens 24 hours a day. And business owners will, you know, they're the best people or someone that owns the house because they're in that environment all the time.
Mhm.
But the reason why we do it at night is it's quiet, it's dark, and there's not traffic, you know, the phones aren't ringing. And so we like to investigate at night.
Yeah.
And we like creepy. We're strange people. We love going to creepy places. So nighttime lends itself to that. But yeah, owners have told us all the time. They say we experience as much during the day as we do at night. And we've gone to places during the day, and like I said, the main drawback's usually the noise.
Right.
Yeah.
Cars going by, and also places you go. I mean, Crown Point, Indiana has 33 bars in downtown Crown Point.
You find that out when you're investigating on a
Yeah.
Friday night and you're like, wow, listen to that. And you're like, wait, that's it. That word said pizza and beer. You're like, wait a minute. And then you're like looking out over the things and you're like, oh man. Yeah.
We were also at a opera house in Beardstown, and the city has a park across the street and plays music 24/7.
Okay.
Very-
Oh.
yes.
Which just drives us nuts, even though we were there at night trying
Yep.
to listen
It was
to
funny
EVP.
because we're asking serious questions and all of a sudden we're listening to the recorder back and we're here like Rod Stewart and you're like, wait, what? You're like, and then people are singing along because you're hearing it outside and you're
Yeah.
singing it inside. And so you're like, oh man, I hope someone doesn't think that's an EVP. So yeah, nighttime is just quieter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
Yeah,
too many
the other
other
disappointment was Scott Mansion. We were there on a Thursday night, and as God is my witness, I never knew that it sits above Bicentennial Park. They have rock concerts on Thursday nights.
Oh.
So we were getting ready after setting up. Deb and I spent hours setting up. We were all set to go. And all of a sudden, like, wee, wee, we're like, oh my God. It
Back
was
it up.
teenage rock bands or whatever. So it was just bizarre.
Yeah. No chance in the sound that night.
Yeah. So do you have any questions for us or experiences you've had?
I mean, I definitely have. I've always been kind of sensitive to it. You know, seeing things, I have very vivid dreams and kind of like I feel premonitions that come on sometimes.
Right.
But you were talking about in the hospital, one of the biggest experiences I had was when my grandpa was passing away, and he told me that there were angels all around, and if you didn't believe in them before you walked into that place, you were going to believe it when you were leaving, you know. And he wasn't, you know, an overly spiritual person, you know, outwardly or anything. So
Right,
for
right.
him to say that even was
Strange.
yeah, and
Out
I
of character.
had to believe him, you know.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Well, Deb is a hospice volunteer.
Yeah.
And I've heard from multiple hospice volunteers that when people are passing, sometimes they will say like the room is full,
Yeah.
meaning all the spirits of their relatives and stuff are there to welcome them.
Yeah.
Right.
Comforting.
Yeah. It is, you know, because that's what I want to see, right? I want to see my a friend or a parent or someone there, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's
Yeah.
all the unknown, and you know, it can be scary to someone, like especially if someone thinks they have something in their house. What I always recommend to people, if you don't feel comfortable contacting us or someone in your area that investigates, you know, say you're seeing this and you don't live in Illinois, you know, because we can always come and we'll talk to you on the phone and contact through email. But keep a journal. What was going on at the time? Were you upset? You know, did something change in your life? You know, during the pandemic, everyone was home together. And that's when we got a ton of phone calls. But the problem is we couldn't go because we didn't know during the pandemic what was going on, you know.
Right.
So we couldn't go help these families, but everyone was home together and started reporting things. So we always tell everyone, start a journal, write it down. You know, if it's something that's happening every day at 3 o'clock or every Tuesday at 3 o'clock, it could be residual. It could be someone had come home from work at 3 o'clock that lived in that house, open the door, you can hear their feet, and then
Yeah.
it disappears. But if it happens every week, you know, at the same time, at the same day, it could be residual. So, yeah, you never know.
Keep track. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And give us, you know, check us out on our website or on our Facebook page. So, you know, and we investigate. So if you guys have any issues, contact us and let us know.
Yeah, Facebook, we keep up to date. The website, I'm in the process of getting it up to speed. I fell behind, it was my fault. Fell behind, but I'm getting it back up to time, you know, speed and what we're doing now. And so, and I think we have a really good website once I get it caught up. But,
Yeah,
We'll
that's
get
a lot
there.
of work too.
For sure.
and I am not like a website designer, so it's
Yeah.
been a struggle.
Aw.
And actually, I found out I was having really trouble doing something, and I finally got a Wix consultant to help me.
Yeah.
And they told me whoever set this up initially used the wrong application.
Mhm.
And so that's why you're not able to go in and do stuff, because this application wasn't meant for what it was used for.
Oh, darn.
But you know, stuff happens. That's what you
Yeah.
do.
That's right. So yeah, you guys, and if you come on our Facebook page, write a note. Let us know if you've had any experiences. We always love it. And we do podcasts. So if there's something you guys want to hear about in podcasts, let us know, you know, type it out on our Facebook page. And say, hey, maybe you guys could think about doing one on this, or, you know, and we always love ideas. So, and we all like to study, you know, Paul and I are both retired. So we have a little more time than the younger members, but yeah, just we love history and we love learning. So, but thank you so much for having us.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
it was a pleasure
Thank you.
meeting with you tonight. I had a blast. I would love for you guys to come check out the library, the Ella Johnson Library that we believe
We'll
is
look into it.
on
Let us know.
for sure, for sure. But Paul and Deborah, thank you so much. This was a terrific evening. You answered a lot of my questions and definitely sparked more interest for me. And
Thank you, Marissa.
I hope you have a great Halloween.
You
Yes.
too.
Happy Halloween, everybody.